And we're back, and we're doing, I guess you'd call it a DLC. It was a short expansion that was a series of missions about this fellow, Tyler Freeborn.
I think it was part of one of many
I'm broadcasting
ARGs.
from Solomon Island, inside a wall of fog. It's day, it's... Jesus, I don't know how long it's been. Or what day of the week.
You should have equipment that'll tell you that.
I'm Tyler Freeborn. Solomon Island has been entombed inside a thick mist. I'm not alone, there are others. Other survivors and... others. Prior to the event, I posted several video reports about the Orachi Science Outpost. Those reports were quickly censored. The feds paid me a little visit. National security, they called it. They made threats. It was all pretty clear. I had no choice. When the mist came, they put their camp into lockdown. Nothing got in, nothing got out. They were safe. It was like they were prepared. For the rest of us, far as I can tell, the survivors were either unconscious, asleep, tied up, or out of reach of the fog when it happened. A couple people I haven't been able to figure out yet. Either they got very lucky or something fishy's going on. I don't trust anyone.
Yeah, so we have your typical conspiracy
There's
theorist
military
right here.
personnel on the island. There are parachutes in the middle of the night. They're most likely working with the Orachis. Or for them. You'd have thought that if they could get people onto the island, they could also get people off the island, but... maybe they don't want to help us. So what are they afraid of? The truth? Us? Are they afraid of us? Are we infected? And what about that mist? Why can't we pass through it? Does it contain toxins? A nerve gas? Nuclear fallout? Is it occult in nature? Extraterrestrial? Whatever it is, it's the key to all that's happened, and I'm gonna find out.
This is the series of missions where you finally find out,
They were all...
you know,
If you've been
everyone's
reading
gonna
my blog
die.
and watching my podcast, you know they were warned. Again and again and... Jesus Christ, what the hell was that?
Yeah, probably a good idea. Get out.
What is that?
He's not getting out of there. He's zooming in.
Yeah. And that's why his SD card's lying discarded in the middle of a road.
Yeah, so this is, again, just tidying up some of the last few lingering ends on Solomon Island. There will be one more video after this, and then it will be Egypt.
At last.
At last, yes. I'm still looking for more people to collab on LPs with me, if anyone's interested in the thread. Because Falconer only has so much time.
Mhm.
Let's see, what else can I talk about? Because, yeah, this is going to show us this episode is the long proof. It wasn't in the game initially. It was added in one of their, like, episodes or magazine things.
Yeah.
And essentially, it's just an answer to the question, what the hell happened to everybody on Solomon Island? And the answer is they all died.
Just like 11 of them. I think Tokyo wasn't even in the game when it was first released, or it was only kind of only a little bit of it was, and that was in several of those issues.
Are you getting stuttering on the video, or is it just me?
It might just be you.
It's probably just me.
Did we know they were already know they were working with Orochi?
No. This is the first hint that Orochi is even here. Like, this is the first time we've heard of Orochi being here, unless you walk into the camp, which I haven't. So, there are a couple missions in the camp, but they haven't unlocked yet. You have to do some stuff for the CDC first.
Scarlet Conductor is a pretty good name for a monster. Rude.
And now, essentially, we just walk around until we find his trailer. I was lucky I found it first try.
Come to think of it, I think I remember running into that camp in the middle of nowhere without explanation, or with only a little explanation when I played this game. Because this is way before this particular issue came out.
It was surrounded by barbed wire.
Maybe. I
Then
might
it's
be
the
thinking of
Orochi
something
camp, yeah.
else. 'Cause I know I got in, but I don't remember there being any quests there, or if there were, they weren't major quests.
Oh, there's no major quest in the Orochi camp. There's only 2 of them. And you have to go to a certain place to unlock them. Well, first you have to do the CDC quests, and the only place you can access the Orochi quests are in one trailer in the Orochi area, so you would never know if you didn't have a reason to be there in the exact place.
Or at least if you weren't like really dedicated to exploring. Were we talking earlier about whether or not ordinary bullets would hurt Draug?
I think there was discussion in the thread about whether blood magic would hurt Draug.
Like I think
that was what we were discussing, because we were like, they're technically not actual creatures, they're animated filth. So
They're fascinating. I mean, I always knew they were real. All the stories, the pictures, the research, the legends and lore. My grandfather's stories, all of it real. I never had any doubts about it. But to see one of them in the wild, to film it, that's something else. It's what I've worked for, what I've sacrificed everything for. This is literally the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Of course, the rest of it is not so great. But still, I need to follow it. See where it hides, where it lives, where it came from. I'll need to switch this off, but I'll document my findings somehow.
Additional assignment received. Initializing.
Man, it just isn't that much to talk about. We've kind of gotten through most things, at least.
Yeah, most of Solomon Island has been thoroughly discussed by this point. And these we're not exactly doing interesting quests.
Yeah. I mean, there are this quest will be interesting, but it sure ain't
Yes,
yet.
there are parts of this quest that are interesting. But at the moment, I'm just doing this little thing that popped up, so...
Is that the whole quest? You just kill the egg and then the thing?
yeah.
Wow.
But, I think this is a reference to the SCP Wiki.
Is it?
Well, the name of the quest is The Black Egg Howls. And one of the phrases that's very common on the SCP Wiki is this mnemonic phrase, does the Black Moon howl?
Huh.
It's used in a number of the more popular SCPs. So, I'm wondering if that's a reference to the SCP Wiki.
Maybe. I mean, it would be entirely on brand, but they didn't. I don't know. This game is a lot too open for SCP mood-wise, I think. Because the whole point there is that it's all constrained and people trying and failing to study things while within that sort of like structured environment.
What are, the conspiracies but the SCPs? Like, not the SCP Foundation. I mean, a lot of modern SCP stories talk about this whole hidden underworld a lot like this game does.
Yeah, fair, but they don't have an agenda. The Foundation doesn't have an agenda like this game does, I think.
The
Like,
Foundation very much has an agenda.
Well, okay, it doesn't have like these high-flying ideologies that aren't just sort of keep everything under wraps and so it doesn't kill people as much as possible. It's also like way more explicitly scientific than any of the factions, though. That is a mood thing, like rather than like an overall setting thing, I guess. It's like you have straight up cults and churches that are the good guys over there, and not in this game. Yeah, SAP is one of those things that it's like, for me, it's just some of it is perfect and some of it is too scary, like too disturbing for me. Just like the stuff that's weird rather than straight up horror or some jump scares or something. Or the stuff that's sort of like they're horrifying creatures, except they're just people who are being brutalized or just animals. And that's it. And also the weird overlapping meta plots that you get if you dig deep.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what one of my favorite SCPs is?
Mm-hmm.
They contained a god by building a religion around it.
That one I don't think. God, there's a
couple.
couple.
But the best part is what the pun is.
Oh.
The pun is the god is in the shape of a teal deer, and the article is very long.
Jesus
TLDR.
Jesus Christ. That's pretty good. That is... Yeah, I like it. I'll take it. I mean, some of them are just lame, or some of them are just like
Oh
jump
yeah,
scary. Yeah.
that's the nature of a
There are
crowdsourced.
Yeah, they are literally
thing.
thousands of them. But there's one that is just Fairyland. That's genuinely disturbing in a good way. That's well written horror. There's
Which one?
It's 4,000. It's the land of the fairies, except in the article it color codes the words, because if you say the words, the names of these things, even
They
repeating
have
them,
power.
yeah, and you will vanish into Fairyland and probably die horribly. So there's a whole bunch of different, like, they lay out techniques for you to try and survive, and people have gone in there on scouting expeditions and come back, but it's not always safe for them to do so. And also their take on Bigfoot is amazing. Like,
oh yeah, SCP 1000, I think it was.
Yeah.
They've really ramped that up.
Yeah.
In later stories, they've really dug into that concept.
And I don't know.
They've made it really clear that you don't want the Bigfoots to come back.
And well, I don't know. I
They've
mean,
tied
yeah,
SCP 4000 into it.
The thousands are the big one. They do put a lot of effort into getting those properly set up. Yeah, I mean, like, basically precursor species to humanity and expert. Now that I'm thinking of it, they're basically the Third Age in denizens of the Third Age, except in SCP. Between lost technology, a couple of scattered remnants, there's just more of them. Do you think that as a bee we could swim through the fog, or would it just turn us around?
Updated. Quick access inventory.
Could you say that again? I need to turn this down a little bit.
Radar module activated.
Do you think as a bee, like, dedicating everything we could towards it, we could penetrate the fog?
We find that out in this mission chain.
Oh, do we?
Yes, you go into the fog.
Oh. But like I mean, go through it and come out the other side. Get onto the mainland. Oh, is that
find
something
that out?
that...
We find that out in this.
So there you go. I have never played this question. I think I saw a YouTube video of it once just to catch myself up, but it's been a while. As should be obvious by now, I don't always have, like... I do not do research before walking in here.
Item located.
So when do you think the Illuminati turned from the 17th century version we see in Solomon Island into sex, drugs, and Rockefeller?
I think that was they got driven out in like the 1800s, I think, because there was that whole like the whole reason that they're based out of the New World is that there was like a civil war in Europe that they lost and got expelled by the Templars.
Radar module activated. Item located.
So now that I've said I don't do research, I'm gonna do research.
I think an interesting thing to think about is the history of this world, because the Templars are European. More particularly, they draw from the nobility, so they are the colonialists.
Yeah,
Their headquarters is in London, for God's sake. So, there's undoubtedly a history of them going in and stealing occult artifacts from other civilizations.
Oh yeah. I did some research. They started out in the Illuminati started out in Egypt. So there's an irony for them. They probably plundered tombs in the 20s that were containing items put there by the Illuminati in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds that's absolutely something that the Illuminati would do. As far as I can tell, there's no date attached to going west.
Yeah, don't
Nah.
Don't turn off the radar module, or else you have to dig up everything again.
God. It's flawed design, but it can't. This sort of thing can't always help it.
Why would the player ever turn that off? There's no need to program something to remember it.
Look, that's how do I put this? Sometimes players don't make good decisions. And that's part of any kind of design, where somebody, even the smartest person in the world, will misread something or just not pay attention. So, I mean, it's you do kind of have to idiot-proof your design, but then I'm probably just arguing past you when I say that. So whatever. 'Cause right now,
remember, do you know what the achievement for killing? I think it's 1,000 scarecrows is?
No.
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which is an Elton John
God damn
song.
it. Perfect. Like now that I'm thinking about game design, have you ever heard of the Falador Massacre?
No.
Do you know what RuneScape was? Well, is still around.
Yes.
So
I do.
This is okay. I'm going to be digging back into my own memory, so this is going to be kind of garbled as I assemble things. So way back in the day, there was a divide between, I think it was like 2012-ish, 11. There was a divide between like paying members and free members. Free members had their accounts and their ability to do things capped. And there was a city called Falador, which is right on the edge of that area, which is very popular for like paying players. It was about where like one of the first places you could go as a pay that was like just above the cutoff. And there were a bunch of people who were living in their own houses there who'd taken advantage of a new mechanic that let them form boxing rings. Normally, PvP was disabled outside of a few places in the far north of the map where people would regularly lure each other up there, kill each other for their stuff. But within these boxing rings, you could just PvP and try and kill each other as much as you want. Except these players figured out they could teleport out of the ring and PvP would stay enabled for them. Not even GM, not even like game masters could attack them, but they could attack anyone they wanted. And these were some of the best players in the game with the best equipment, the highest like stats that they had available. So half a dozen or so of them went through the city of Falador, killing all of the players there, just picking them off and leaving their bodies and their stuff lying on the ground. And people, GMs could not stop them because PvP was disabled and they didn't have a good way to enable it. That was like apparently that was something that they expected GMs to abuse, so they disabled that. The ability for them to enable and disable PvP in PvP disabled areas. So I think most of the people eventually got banned who did this, but people lost stuff they couldn't recover. So many people died that nobody picked it up because and it just like the stuff that people had to go on quests for that were one-time only things, or people had spent real money on, were just gone. It was a huge scandal back in the day, and it was just a single piece of sloppy programming that caused it.
My favorite example of that is something that was used by the CDC to study actual plagues.
The
I think
corrupted
it was
blood.
called the Corrupted Blood in World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Do you want to tell that story?
As I remember it, they put in a new quest line, but they fucked up the coding, so everyone would essentially catch this disease, and there was no way to turn it off.
Yeah,
so you had people who would intentionally infect each other, you had people who would quarantine, you had people who would volunteer their lives, essentially, or the lives of their characters, to go out and try to help other people. And the CDC used it as an example of pandemic management.
Mm-hmm. And what happened is that they managed to. It was just a little programming flaw. If you as a hunter, you could have your pets and have them fight alongside you. If you despawned your pet before the fight ended and then put it back out, the corrupted blood would still apply to it. And that was the only way it could escape, and that's how it escaped multiple times. And they eventually had to just shut down the server where this was happening because they couldn't get people to stop fucking around. So that did not end up boding well for anything. It's like they just released a meta study on, or at least rather a big study on correlation of behavior online with behavior in person in a few different countries, and the first time that they tried to compare those really, on a large scale with as much scientific rigor as they could, there's no measurable difference in assholery. If you're a dick in real life, you're a dick online, and vice versa. It was very conclusive, and it looks like people at the time of Corrupted Blood incident were just like, yeah, there's no repercussions for this. People aren't going to behave this badly in real life, and
yeah.
Visual tracking initiated.
And now I have to follow the footsteps. And this one sucks because they don't always spawn in correctly.
I remember looking, in the Shield DLC, I remember looking at a similar thing and just stopping.
The Shield DLC?
Pokemon Shield.
Oh.
I liked that game. It had so many problems, and it was way too easy, but it was fun. It was simple, and I liked the characters.
Is that the one in fake England?
Yep. It was pretty it wasn't cartoon British, even though it was at times cartoonishly British. which barely makes sense. But
So my question to you, as a Pokemon fan, how did you feel when they said we're not going to put all the Pokemon in Pokemon?
well, here's the thing. I had not played a mainstream Pokemon game since the fourth generation, and that is the eighth generation. So I had no idea that was a thing, and I had no opinion because I was around for the third generation where they did the exact same shit. And I remember people getting so up in arms about it, and it ended up just not being much of an issue. It just put some of them back in the next generation, and nobody cared anymore. So it did not phase me.
And we're going to get into a big old battle here.
It's just clipping through.
Yeah. You can see his fingers going through. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish.
I think they're trying to kill you, but it's not.
That's not how bees work.
Yeah. And like, they may be Orochi, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're all that well equipped.
Or they're just using me to lure these things.
Yeah, that's possible. But then, that's a lot of personnel.
Because
to
they're
lose over.
certainly not focusing on me. Otherwise, I'd be getting hit by a lot more missiles.
Okay, that is fair. Actually, yeah, that's what would. Oh, they're that's why they're storing that dude there. It's a he's a lure.
And I'll give you 2 guesses where this goes.
Can you attack? Is it possible to attack the Orochi?
I don't
looks
know.
like it.
I'm more focused on these guys because these are the ones who are actually shooting at you.
Yeah, there was one point where just then, you targeted one of them and the health bar displayed as green, so it looks like you can't. Well, some of them are starting to shoot.
Yeah.
Visual tracking initiated. Visual tracking initiated.
Oh, fuck me! Fuck me! Not like this, no!
A+ voice acting. Good job, everybody.
Now, I have to kill the pack leader. I fuck up the first time. Like, it literally breaks. So I have to exit the area and come back in. Also, I have no idea where I'm supposed to go because it's not really spawning the footprints. Or at least it's not telling me where the footprints are so I can start following them.
Yep. Oh, there they are. Yeah, great design.
You ever see Troll 2?
Nope.
Say
Is
again?
that no? Is that the where the famous, particularly famous quote comes from?
They're eating her, and then they're going to eat me. Oh my god!
Yeah, that's the only thing I know from that.
I have seen it. I saw the riff tracks Lotax did with Mike Nelson from MST3K, and I'm really sad I can't actually watch that riff tracks anymore because Lotax turned out to be a wife beater,
Yeah.
and like it ruined everything funny Lotax ever did. Just him being a wife beater.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. Like, at least for the vast majority of the time when that happens, they're like entertainment personalities, and just means you can't really enjoy watching something. So they're
See, here's the problem. I'm waiting for it to come back down, so I go over here and I get this legend, and somehow that gets me out of combat with it, and I can no longer target it. See, I'm pressing the buttons. I'm trying to manually target him.
no valid targets in range, huh?
Yeah,
Well,
and then he kind of gets stuck and just does that eternally.
yeah. Well, as long as he's doing that, he's not threatening anybody else. Yeah, he should, yeah.
I literally, my character literally just gives up on combat now.
Is he still taking damage? He might not be.
Yeah, I'm no longer taking damage from anything.
That's yeah. That is a broken boss fight.
It's like when I went back to, I re-downloaded the Division 2 and went back to it after like 2 years, and it's still fun, but one of the missions is bugged, and I'm like the only one having the problem. So I have no idea what to do.
I was playing when I last played, or I first played Fallout 4. The main quest broke, and I sat there waiting for the final mission to spawn, and it wouldn't happen, even though I met the criteria. And I looked it up, and at least according to the wiki, it was broken for good on that save. I could no longer complete the game.
Not even with console commands?
I mean, maybe with I actually no. There was a way to force it to trigger with console commands, but I think I just didn't bother.
Yeah, the story in Fallout 4 isn't very good. Like, I enjoy the setting of Boston. I enjoy what they did with the crafting. Not too big a fan of the base building. I think if you're going to do that, you need to do it like other games do, where it's a standard set of upgrades you work towards through quests.
Mhm. I mean, it's worth noting for Fallout 4's base building mechanics, they actually ripped that off from a series of mods called Settler mods, and that's what those mods were. It's just that they standardized it and made it a little more
Oftentimes that's what Bethesda will do. They'll look at, what is the biggest, most popular mod that isn't about sex?
yeah. God,
And let's just do that in our next game. And that works for them. I mean, if I was a game design studio, that's what I'd be doing. What do the fans want? Okay, what's popular with the fans?
Like, I remember when they did that for Crusader Kings 2, with Holy Furry. And so that one of the big mods had been for years called Shattered World, where they did exactly that. And now that is a thing through, it's in the like second last DLC, but I do like how because are you familiar with the Animal Kingdoms Easter egg?
Vaguely, I don't play Crusader Kings.
Yeah. It's basically there was this option that if you cycled through it several times, instead of just like Shattered World normally breaks the world apart into different cultures and religions, and if you cycled through it, it would spawn cultures that were also animals, and you would spawn like a horse culture, and all the characters would be horses and have stereotypical horse names in that culture. and they could
Mm.
intermarry and with humans or other animals, and it would just be an animal or a human. But which brought up weird questions. But yeah, and that's why they called it Holy Furry.
Ah.
But yeah, they.
Do you mind like non-PC YouTubers?
I
Because there's a guy I enjoy for reviews, but he's very much tongue-in-cheek irony, one of those people who can make the jokes because he actually is the minority.
It depends. Like those,
Seth
I will
Sneech.
defend. It's one of those things where that's definitely that's possible and has a right to exist. But just
Yeah,
because
his
it
name is
can,
Seth Sneech.
is what?
He's a Jewish
Remember when we
laboratory
were the
student.
pale men?
Ah.
a
Remember the
laboratory
stories?
technician.
The pictures? Okay,
But
okay, check this out.
he does a bunch of reviews. He reviewed all of Might and Magic.
One of
He's
the
very
pale
funny, but he's very
men
much
are
not
real.
politically correct, and like that's
Came
the
with the
approach of
mist.
his humor.
I think they belong to the mist.
Like
Or maybe
he's
it's the other way
Jewish,
around.
so
I
he
haven't
makes a bunch of
decided yet.
Jew jokes. Do you know what the name
You know
of
the
his
story of the
Patreon
Black
group
Cobra,
is?
Hamlin?
What?
He had a magic flute.
The
First, he lured
Merchants
all the
Guild.
rats in town into the sea, and then,
Like, okay, look.
after they refused to pay him
I-
for his services,
there
he played
is-
the flute again. Only this
I mean,
time,
you know,
it
that's
wasn't the rats that came
certain
with him
people
into
have
the
N-word
water.
privileges.
It was the children.
There's you're allowed to make that joke about yourself, and it's possible, though
I
wildly
could
rare,
swear
to
I
make
heard
like.
music
Okay,
when
are
I
you
was
familiar with
away
Frankie
into the
Boyle?
sea.
Oh, I love Frankie Boyle. Frankie Boyle's so funny.
Listen,
Frankie Boyle is one of the very few people in the world, I think,
so I
who can
plugged my
toe
earbuds
the
in,
line,
turned the volume up
who
real
can
loud,
make
called me
that
to the
kind
table,
of joke
shut
and not
my
have it
eyes.
be like awful.
When Springsteen stopped
But
playing,
it's like
everything
Frankie
got
Boyle,
quiet.
Dan Carlin. That's like
Swayze's
about
was
it.
completely empty.
And
The whole
Dan Carlin's
downtown was
dead.
empty. And the mist had pulled back out to sea.
And for people that they're not,
No
groups
more
that they're
than
not
half an
parts
hour
of.
almost.
I mean,
Those few days before they all came back were odd days. We lost a couple
Yeah,
of
you
people
gotta
who
run.
passed
It's a
away.
very fine line.
heard
Like,
the
it has
stories.
to actually be
We didn't
funny,
know what to do.
Mhm.
is the first criteria.
Why we
You
were
have to
still
actually be funny. You can't just
Well,
say the N-word and have that be the joke. You have to actually be funny.
I know.
And it can't just be a
I'm
racist
still
joke.
here.
It has to be a racist joke tinged with that
It's
sort
my
of
job.
irony that allows
My
people
duty
to laugh at it.
To find out
yeah,
what
there's
That you're not serious.
yeah, like
came with the mist,
like
who the
and
pale
it-
men are,
when you have something like say Cartman,
and what lies.
and it's if you look at it, he is not he is not being treated well or treated as a good idea. But it's subtle, and that treatment's subtle enough that people will still look up to him, and think he's the best thing ever and imitate him.
Yeah, I heard from some Jewish source once online. They were like, you know, the reason behind casual anti-Semitism in the modern era is Cartman, and I was like, I mean, I guess I could see that.
Is what?
The reason that so many people are casually anti-Semitic nowadays, they trace back to Cartman, because Cartman's been on the air for like over 20 years.
Yeah. And that's, I mean,
And that whole time he's been screaming about Jews. And a lot of people think he's funny, so they're going to imitate him. And then you fall down the rabbit hole to Nazism.
because like one of what the darkest secrets of human psychology is that if somebody repeats something enough, it doesn't matter what it is, you'll start to believe them. And that is a universal. It is something that they use in like interrogations. It's something that it's how cults work, and it runs counter to people how just about everybody thinks of themselves. So no one likes to admit it, which means nobody anticipates it. And that's how a lot of extremist movements get people in. They'll just trap them in an area where, by claiming it's ironic, and after a while, even just in spite of
stops being
themselves, they
ironic.
start to believe it. It's not even. It's like not. It's not. It's not even a matter of willpower. It's a matter of like biology. That is a function of the human brain. So yeah.
Yeah, one thing I want to say about this area is you're supposed to find a code in that truck out there and then open the gate, but it's easier to just jump on top of the truck and go in.
Mm-hmm. That's the issue with climbable terrain. Yeah, I remember this camp.
Yeah, this is the Orochi camp.
Yeah, this is the camp that I was thinking of. That's why I was here. And I think I remember stumbling across this not having quests, and or any reason that this would exist, and eventually just stumbling into that tent and finding some of those missions there. I think I was at the point of I'm done with the quests and I want to move on, but I'm just interested in what weird things are in the corners of the maps.
Sorry for the creaking. I had to itch myself.
It happens to the best of us, maybe.
Yeah, I'll be back here in the next video to tidy up the last of this stuff.
Employees can return to their stations.
Just thinking. It's funny, canonically the Templars are supposed to be the smallest of the factions. But they're also, well,
Yes?
yeah, you just getting tased or whatever it was just cost me my train of thought.
The Templars are the smallest of the factions.
But they have the largest player base and the largest weight in the plot.
Of course, would you expect the bungling idiots of the Illuminati to be able to do anything?
Or the borderline racist stereotypes that are the Dragon. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just hearing the woman they have reading, and I'm not sure. I think it's a British accent, may just be from somewhere else in the Commonwealth. But I'm like, of course
She
the
sounds
Orochi
like the
have
administrator from Team Fortress 2.
British. Maybe.
Gas leak detected. Laboratory atmosphere unstable. Evacuate laboratory immediately.
You'd think they eventually get an idea that something's going on with all of these repeated false alarms. Or not false alarms, all these repeated on-offs. But then this is a corporate operation and it's in America. It doesn't matter how well they're being paid. They're still not being paid well enough to care about anything.
Stabilizers activated. Laboratory atmosphere will return to normal in approximately 30 seconds.
Yeah, and we've been gathering blood samples. Infected, partially infected, and uninfected. We're about to find out what they all look like under a microscope. This one came from the sea. It's infected. This one was injected with the filth. It's infected. This one is from Sheriff Bannerman. It's infected.
Laboratory atmosphere
They're all
is
fucked.
stabilized. Employees can return to their stations.
And that was Sheriff Bannerman's blood sample. There's just a little bit of filth in there. So that
But there's
sucks.
no such thing as just a little bit of the filth. As we
Yep.
learn in Egypt with our lovely German doctor, who sounds like the most stereotypical Nazi war crime guy. Do you remember him?
No, I mean, vaguely. Was he in the excavation camp?
Yes, he microdosed the filth like it was LSD.
God damn it. Oh, is this? I remember this quest. I've been looking forward to it.
Temporary abilities.
The chainsaw?
Yeah. You just. It doesn't matter. It's an one-hit kill. And you just cut your way through everything here. like they pause you just long enough.
Special assignment received.
That's a really well-timed quest.
Yeah, so everyone, we now have scientific proof everyone here is fucked.
Hmm.
But would you like psychic proof that they're fucked? Because that's what the final stage of this quest is. Of this quest line is.
Oh, good. Oh, right. Yeah, I think I vaguely remember that. I remember at least once going to that chainsaw and right after finishing and just starting it again. 'Cause it was just fun.
Quick access inventory updated. Quick access inventory updated.
What's interesting about that shower is if you have filth exposure and you get in there, it automatically cancels it.
So it's actually doing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to find the... Because I haven't been awarded it yet. Let me explain. Sometimes you get gear, and it's an item. Sometimes you get gear, and it's an item that then turns into something that's in your closet. I don't get that something in my closet until after this mission is finished, so it's currently an item. Yeah, I've been playing the Division 2 a lot more, and I got dropped a great rifle. You know, in this modern military shooter, do you know what rifle I'm using?
What?
A Winchester Model 1866.
Nice.
No, 1886, rather. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm using 4570 government to shoot the bad guys.
There's something interesting about seeing somebody in a hazmat suit with a sledgehammer. I'm not.
Yeah, now I'm like, well, I want to take this off. But I forgot that you have to cancel from the You have to cancel from the little bar down there.
Quick access inventory updated.
Okay, there we
Yeah.
are.
I watched you walk away from that. I was like, what?
Local bounty detected. Initiated.
You know, these remind me of my favorite movie,
Mm.
Deep Blue Sea. You ever see Deep Blue Sea?
Nope.
Oh, you have to. It's a very tongue-in-cheek shark movie.
Ah.
Like, Samuel L. Jackson stands up and gives a speech, and right as he's giving the speech, a shark jumps out of the water and eats him.
That sounds.
It's a great movie.
Yeah,
It's a great, terrible movie.
that actually sounds majestic.
And we're almost finished with this video. The next 15 minutes are a mind trip. Literally, we're walking into the fog to see what happens.
I'm going in. I think I got it figured out. I think I'll be okay. I don't think things are the same inside as they are outside. I think things are twisted in there. If you breathe that stuff, it'll get you. Poison you. But it's the sound that makes you susceptible to it. Makes you do things you don't want to do. The music. Like the Pied Piper. We're children being lured into the sea. Into the nameless abyss. The ancient city beneath. Where they sleep. I'm going in. I'm going to try and push through to the other side. Wherever that is. I don't plan on coming back.
Call of Cthulhu reference.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's not one of us doing that. That breathing sound is coming from the game.
Mhm.
Stop. 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 No, don't stop now. More words, please. More memories. Mommy, what will Daddy bring back from the sea? Whatever his heart desires, my sweet. They rowed their boats through the Sargasso Sea. Merrily, 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 soon we'll all be free. Welcome to the Red Sargassum Dream. Follow it down, down, down. Peekaboo, we see you. Look around. This is what we'll be.
I think you're looking for me.
We're dreaming it all together. Impressive, isn't it? The dream's inside all.
There's Deputy Andy
There's no disinfecting the dream.
with his cats
I
that he
think
mentioned.
Save them. No, no, no. It's too late for that. Besides, save them from what? Themselves? This is what they do.
The one sort of good news, none of the Native Americans show up. So they're all safe.
Let them close their eyes forever. Let them inherit the kingdom.
Yeah!
Let's play a game. We can make the rules together. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of sailors. Ashes, ashes, they all fell down.
Had to be one of these puzzles.
Freeborn. Freeborn.
Yeah.
This way they'll live forever, free from civil trappings. You're in our dream, and we are in theirs. We're all in this together. See? Nothing has to change. Not really. This is how they dream each other. What could be more real than that? You could be the mayor of this place,
was kind of wondering how you knew where to go, and
It's a little confusing. But eventually I get the hang of it. You're looking for things that are out of the ordinary. And there's a sign, a light up sign I missed. There we go, see it? No, I didn't know if I was supposed to jump in or not. The answer was no. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm being quiet. There's not a lot to say.
Yeah, I'm being quiet deliberately. This is like the characters we're seeing. Nobody's expecting you to be in love with them or anything, but it
You
is.
still don't want them to die.
Yeah.
You did hang out with them for a little bit.
Tell all your friends to visit. It sharpens the dream. Remember us when you wake, and we will remember you. Row, row, row your boat gently through my dream. Terribly, 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 terribly. This is all I've seen. We want to see more. Release us. Wake us from the sea. Wake us all, and you can live the dream forever.
Let's never do that again.
Yep. And we also ran into like 2 people at once.
It's not the monsters I'm
Yep.
afraid of. They're not very bright. And they're practically deaf and blind and easy to avoid if you've got half a brain. There are things worse than monsters. Much worse. Dreams. I don't know what's up with my dreams.
Third person.
I mean, they're so vivid and intense. Like I'm wide awake. And when I wake up, I'm exhausted. Like I haven't slept a wink all night. But I know I had. And I think sometimes, even when I'm awake, I'm still dreaming. Because I keep hearing the whispers. They're always whispering. Always. All the time. I've got so much to whisper about.
And that was this episode. So one more and then we'll be in Egypt.
Fair enough.
Bye.